Breaking news out of Washington, D.C. tonight, CNN is reporting that the Pentagon has been holding urgent meetings today over President-elect Trump. I'm going to play the CNN story in just a second, but first, consider. There is only one reason for the Pentagon to be holding meetings about Trump. They are trying to anticipate how they are going to hold together the apolitical structure of the U.S. armed forces. Trump has been out on the campaign trail promising that he is going to use the military in a number of illegal ways that would shatter the Constitution in order to achieve his political goals. And while we are on the subject of Trump campaign promises, I would just like to mention to all you MAGA followers that it is now officially past 24 hours since Trump has been elected, and yet the Ukraine war is not over. So I guess that's the first campaign promise that was broken. Is any of the mainstream media calling him out on it? No. Are they going to? No. Why? Because, that was just Trump being Trump. Yeah, we're pretty much guaranteed that the media learned nothing from the first time the orange landmass tried to run this country. And now the armed forces of the United States, which is in all likelihood the oldest standing apolitical military in the world, is having meetings and preparing itself for the fact that a pathological narcissist with increasing levels of dementia is taking over as commander-in-chief. It is no secret that hundreds of high-ranking former military leaders, including General Mark Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, warned America that Trump is a danger to America, to American democracy, and to our military and non-military overseas operatives. Voters didn't listen. The line was out the door of military leaders saying, listen to us. The guy is insane, as well as being, and here I'm quoting, a fascist to the core. His former Secretary of Defense told America that during Black Lives Matter protests, Trump asked him to use the military to go out and shoot protesters, to shoot Americans. And the only thing worse than the request is the follow-up. When Esper said, no, we can't do that, then stable genius Trump replied, well, not to kill. Can't you just shoot them in the legs? Shoot them in the legs? That's the solution every 11-year-old comes up with. Military leadership who worked side by side with this lunatic warned voters, the man is an idiot. Do not let him anywhere near a commanding position of the U.S. military. Voters didn't listen. And angry Democrats are running around pointing the finger at Latino men, black men, and a lot of other people for voting for Trump. But let me tell you who else voted for Trump. Veterans. Veterans for Trump was a big group, and they fundamentally did not listen when their former commanders told them, protect this country. Do not vote for this man. But they didn't listen. And now the Pentagon is holding urgent meetings to protect the military from becoming a fascist tool. Let's listen to CNN cover this series of meetings.
Top of mind for defense officials here who we've spoken to, of course, is how Trump is going to wield U.S. military power here at home. Is he going to make good on his previous pledges to potentially deploy active duty U.S. troops to American cities to engage in domestic law enforcement and to help with his mass deportation plan? That is something that officials here have been discussing in terms of how they would actually respond to that. What would a response look like if the president were to actually order active duty troops to these cities to engage in this kind of domestic law enforcement? And if he did, a former senior military official who served under Trump said that that would be very significant. It is not something that the president would be able to necessarily water down to the American people. It would be, quote, a very big deal. And another thing that officials here are gaming out is, of course, what is going to happen if Donald Trump reinstates an executive order known as Schedule F, which would essentially reclassify a large amount of apolitical civilian employees across the federal government, including here at the Pentagon, and allow them to be more easily fireable. That is something that defense officials here are scrambling to address before he enters office, trying to kind of whittle down the list of people who would be at risk of being moved into that category, because of course they're trying to create, as minimal of a disruption as possible to the day-to-day operations here. But clearly they are concerned. They're having these conversations about whether there would be resignations, for example, if an unlawful order were issued issued, and importantly, what the chain of command would look like if Trump did issue that kind of order to deploy those active duty forces.
Okay, kudos to CNN for covering the story and making America aware of what is going on at the Pentagon. But there is still a level of tap dancing around what a danger Trump is to this country. Is this going to be like the first Trump presidency, where it took the media 4 years to start saying the president is lying? Are they going to take 4 years to say he is dangerous and he's actively trying to destroy democracy? Because in 4 years, the job will be done. We don't have that kind of time. And the degree of tap dancing is revealed in this one small moment where the reporter, Natasha Bertrand, almost speaks the full truth. It almost came out like a Freudian slip. Watch this again.
Kind of whittle down the list of people who would be at risk of being moved into that category, because of course they're trying to create, as minimal of a disruption as possible.
There, did you see that? She almost said they are trying to create a firewall. It was on the tip of her tongue, but she caught herself and said minimal disruption. But it's really about insulating the military from Trump, because that is indeed what the Pentagon is meeting about. It's what they are using their computer modeling for, how to game out scenarios in which demented Donnie tries to take over the military and use it illegally. Their question is, how do we stand up to that? And so is this what it's come to? Are we going to have to depend on the military to save us because the other two branches of government have already been taken over? I'm looking at you, Supreme Court. Sadly, the answer is yes. We're going to have to depend on the military to save us. How they do that is going to take up a lot of computer modeling and a lot of military courage. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.